大家好，欢迎来到娜娜的可以吃的故事。今天我们要说的故事是姜饼人大冒险。The little gingerbread man stood still, holding his mom's hand in front of a beautiful gingerbread house. The roof was covered with white icing and decorated with colorful chocolates and candies.He wasn't sure why they had to stay perfectly still like this, so he finally asked, Mom, why are we being punished here? To his surprise, the mom snapped back, Oh my goodness, how did I end up paired with someone who doesn't get it? Hey, I am not your mom.We're gingerbread figures, one big, one small, standing here to look cute. Got it? But no more questions. The little gingerbread man looked around and saw boxes stacked neatly nearby. Inside each box was a perfect little gingerbread house with gingerbread figures posed just like him and his Mom. Every box was tied with a ribbon and labeled with a festive Merry Christmas. Suddenly, the noise of machines broke the silence. A worker drove over with a forklift, carrying a fresh stack of gingerbread gift boxes. The worker tipped the stack.And a few boxes, including the little gingerbread man's, fell to the ground. His box flipped over completely and even took down another shelf of gifts in the chaos. By the time it stopped, his box was ruined. The worker walked over, picked up the crushed box, and tossed it into storage to be recycled as trash.Inside the box, the little gingerbread man lay in a crumbled corner. His fake mom had disappeared, and the gingerbread house had collapsed into a pile of crumbs. When he tried to stand, he realized one of his legs was missing. Before he could understand what was happening, he heard a faint sound from the shadows.Then something strange touched him. It felt like tiny claws scratching, tugging, and biting. Ow, that tickles! He blurted out, laughing uncontrollably. The biting sensation stopped, and a beam of light hit his face. He saw an ant.Holding a flashlight, keeping a cautious distance. The ant asked, You can talk?
I think so. Wait, were you biting me?
Why did you do that? That was horrible. Why did you? The ant glared.
Don't ask questions. Just answer me. Got it?The
gingerbread man blinked.
That's weird. Why does this feel familiar?
He nodded reluctantly.
So, why did you laugh?
The ant asked.
I was ticklish. Wait, were you biting me? Why were you biting me?
The ant said nothing, just stared at the gingerbread man.The gingerbread man scratched his nose awkwardly.
Okay, all right, no questions. Got it.
I have never seen food talk before,
the ant said, poking the gingerbread man with the flashlight.
Are you poisonous?
What? Food? Me?So you're trying to eat me?
The gingerbread man jumped back, horrified.
I don't even know you. Why would you want to eat me?
Startled by his reaction, the ant raised its tiny fists, ready to fight. Stop moving. Stay calm.
Calm? How am I supposed to stay calm? My whole world has been turned upside down.
Just then, an army of ants marched in, their steps perfectly synchronized. Overwhelmed, the gingerbread man fainted. When he woke up, he found himself in a room filled with all kinds of strange things. Broken cookies and colorful crumbs surrounded him. Some familiar, and others were things he had never seen before. Wide-eyed with curiosity, the gingerbread man hopped on his one good leg, amazed at its surroundings.
Wow, this is a whole new world.
From behind him came a familiar voice. Stop messing around. Can't you just sit still, be quiet, and not cause any trouble? The gingerbread man turned to see the ant again. He grinned.
Hey, we meet again.
Then, remembering the earlier threat, he cautiously hopped back a few steps. What are you so nervous about? The ant said. We're not going to eat you. At least, not yet. But let's be real, it won't be long. Winter's coming. The ant expected the gingerbread man to freak out, like before. But instead, the little guy just shrugged.
Funny thing. I am not scared anymore,
the gingerbread man said. Why aren't you afraid of me now?
I don't know. Guess I was just born this way, an optimist.
The ant chuckled. An optimist? You talk like you've got a mom or something. That hit the nerve. The gingerbread man frowned.
I do have a mom. Well, okay. Maybe not a real mom, but I must have one, right? Where else would I come from?
The ant wasn't sure how to respond, nor was it sure whether it should tell the gingerbread man the truth. After all, it was just flour, eggs, butter, and spices baked in an oven. Was the oven his mom? Oh, it was too complicated. The ant shook its head, surprised that it was talking to a piece of food. All right, no more questions. Remember, just stay put, don't touch anything. Everything here is precious. And don't waste time thinking about pointless stuff. Oh, here's some advice. We will eat you, so don't get any funny ideas. As the ant turned to leave, a gingerbread man called out.
Wait, one more question, please?
One more forever or just for today? The ant asked, smirking. The gingerbread man blushed.
Just for today.
Fine, last one, the ant said.
What's your name?
The ant froze, staring at him in silence. Time seemed to stand still. The gingerbread man suddenly spoke.
Fine, I get it. You're thinking you're going to eat me anyway, so why bother telling me your name, right?
No, it's because I don't have a name. The gingerbread man gasped.
No way! I don't have a name either. What are the odds?
The ant chuckled to itself, thinking, what's so special about that? In our anthill, thousands of worker ants don't have names. We wake up before sunrise, light up, march in formation, and gather food to bring back to home every day. No names are needed because we don't need to talk to each other. Lost in its thoughts, the ant quietly left the food storage room. Watching the ant walk away, the gingerbread man began to wonder as well. The next day, when the ant returned to check the food storage room, it found the gingerbread man grinning mysteriously.
Hey, I've got something for you,
said the gingerbread man. Raising an eyebrow, the ant replied, You have something for me? What could you possibly give me? Or are you finally volunteering to let me eat you? The gingerbread man, unaffected, of course, by the ant's usual teasing, laughed instead.
No. I want to give you a name.
The ant, caught off guard, was unsure. You want to give me a name? Really?
Yep. Starting today, your name will be Merry Christmas,
declared the gingerbread man. The ant burst into laughter. Seriously, the name you're giving me is just the words written on the gift box, you can man. The gingerbread man looked embarrassed.
Oh, I didn't realize you noticed that. Wait, I've got it. How about this? You pick one.
Pick one what? Asked the ant, completely confused.
Merry or Christmas? You choose one and I'll take the other. That way we each have one.
The ant sighed, rubbing its forehead. I am not doing this. It's way too ridiculous. But the gingerbread man, now fully excited, said,
I get first pick. I pick Mary. I've always thought the letter M looks so beautiful. I love it. And that makes you Christmas.
The ant looked at the gingerbread man's joyful expression, feeling dizzy. Something that he had never understood began to take root quietly in its heart. That night, as the ant lay in its room trying to sleep, it couldn't stop thinking. Christmas, is that my name? No, this is ridiculous. Besides, worker ants don't even need names. Oh, I cannot believe I'm still awake now over something like this. The next day, after a sleepless night, the ant was sent to look for new food spots because some had been ruined by humans. This left it unable to visit the food storage room or check on the gingerbread man. As the weather grew colder, the ant became increasingly anxious without understanding why. It just wanted to see if the gingerbread man was okay. Well, normally, the food wouldn't be touched until the snow fell, but the ant couldn't stop feeling worried. When the ant finally returned to the food storage room weeks later, it saw there was even more food. It suddenly felt nervous. What if another ant had discovered the gingerbread man could talk and thought he was poisonous? What if they had thrown him away? Just then, the ant heard a familiar hopping sound from behind a pile of food. Relief washed over it. It was the gingerbread man. The ant tried to stay calm as the gingerbread man popped out from the food, smiling.
You were worried about me, weren't you? You couldn't find me.
The ant gave him a sharp look but stayed silent. The two sat down and looked at the pile of food. The gingerbread man asked,
You really think you'll eat all this?
The ant replied, Better to have more than not enough. If food runs out after it snows, it'll be too late. The gingerbread man nodded.
I mean, you ants are amazing. You are so tiny, but together you've built a mountain of food. Ow! Ouch!
All of a sudden, the gingerbread man shouted. The ant quickly asked, What's wrong? The gingerbread man, looking worried, said,
Something's been bothering me for days. Can you check my back? I can't see it myself, but it feels off.
The ant saw numerous cracks. Trying to stay calm, it said, There are cracks. It's really dry here. The winter's coming and it's only going to get drier. So it means you are going to, The words stuck in the ant's mouth. The hardest part to say was the truth. But the gingerbread man wasn't slow to understand. He hopped on one foot, panicking and shouting,
No! Why didn't you tell me sooner? I am going to dry out and crumble. Oh no, I'm going to faint again.
In his overreaction, his hopping foot snapped off. The ant stood up. Can you stop being so stupid? What if you hit your head just now? Or do you want me to call everyone over and have them eat you right now? The gingerbread man waved his remaining arms as he stared at his now missing lower half. Then he burst into laughter. Waving his arms up and down, he said,
Hey, don't be so grumpy. Look, I am no longer the gingerbread man. I am Gingerbread.
The ant couldn't help but laugh. Maybe you were right. You were born this optimistic. Maybe whoever created you added some kind of magical powder. That night, the ant couldn't sleep again. A crazy idea had taken hold. Feeling silly but sure of what to do, it grabbed something from its closet. Quietly, it tiptoed to the food storage room, trying not to wake anyone. Once inside, it tied a rope around the gingerbread man's neck.
What are you doing?
The gingerbread man shouted. Shut up, unless you want to get us both caught. The ant whispered back. Despite being much smaller, the ant dragged the gingerbread man with all its might, sweating and panting. From behind, the gingerbread man whispered,
I know you told me to keep quiet, but could you be more careful? You almost broke my arm just now.
Finally, they reached the aunt's room and sighed in relief.
Why did you do all this?
Asked the gingerbread man. My room is closest to the underground water. It's more humid here. I think you should feel more comfortable, the aunt replied.
Oh, Christmas, why are you so kind to me?
The aunt, a little embarrassed, pushed the gingerbread man aside. Because we're friends, I guess.
Friends? What's that? It's like winter coming soon?
No, I am not entirely sure. I've never had a friend either, but I read about it in a mural story when I was younger. Friends are people who stick together and help each other survive. The gingerbread man chuckled.
Just like us right now.
They leaned back, their heads resting against each other. Suddenly, the gingerbread man started coughing.
I feel like I am a little
dry?
I was actually going to say a little thirsty. But you're right. I do feel like I'm getting drier. The speed, it's beyond what I imagined. I feel so tired.
The aunt suddenly felt a bit sad and said, I'm sorry. I don't think I'm a very good friend. I can't help you. The gingerbread man said,
I don't feel that way at all. I think you are the best friend I've ever met. Well, though you are also my only friend. Anyway, you are the best.
The aunt took a deep breath and said, I'm so glad I didn't eat you. The gingerbread man could barely speak anymore. He whispered,
I'm so glad it was you that I met.
The aunt said, Thank you, Mary. The gingerbread man replied,
Thank you, Christmas.
Merry Christmas.